Retiring in a cheap country used to sound simple. A beach photo, a chair facing the ocean at sunset, a 30-second TikTok video saying you can live comfortably on $1,000 a month. For years, that was the dream many people believed in. But that was 10 years ago. In 2026, retirement is no longer about beautiful views. It's no longer about viral videos. And it's definitely not about travel rankings shared across social media. Those things look great on weekends, but they don't tell you what happens when you actually live there. The reality today is very different. Retirement now revolves around insurance, around healthcare when your body starts pushing back, around taxes, quiet numbers that slowly drain your life month by month. And more importantly, there's a question very few people ask. Does this place still function on a Tuesday morning when the tourists are gone? When the weekend is over? When no one is pretending the place is a paradise anymore? Many countries look perfect online, but fall apart when you try to live there long term. Services disappear, prices rise, and you realize you're not a resident, just a temporary guest, welcome only while things are fun. Today we're not talking about hot destinations. We're not talking about retirement paradises. We're talking about countries that still work for people who actually live there. Places that don't ask you to dream, only to live normally day after day. Number 3, Bulgaria. Bulgaria rarely comes up in conversations about retirement. Not because it's bad, but because it doesn't know how to impress. This is not a wow country on Instagram. There are no glossy beach shots, no lifestyle slogans, no promises that moving here will transform your life. Bulgaria is often dismissed because it still carries an old Eastern European image, gray, slow, and outdated. But that's exactly why it still works. Bulgaria doesn't try to sell itself as a dream. It isn't built around visitors who come to spend money and leave. Cities here, big or small, continue to function normally, even after tourist season ends. On a Tuesday morning, people still go to work. Shops still open. Buses still run on their version of schedule. There's no feeling that life shuts down once the crowds disappear. That's something many famous retirement countries have already lost. People in Bulgaria live slowly, but not in a way designed to serve anyone else. They live on their own rhythm. No one tries to make you feel special. No one adjusts their behavior because you're foreign. You're not treated differently, and for many retirees that becomes a relief. There's no one here to manage your expat ego. You're not catered to, but you're also not watched. You're simply left alone. When it comes to cost of living, Bulgaria remains one of the few places in Europe where the numbers still make sense. Outside the capital, Sofia rent typically falls between $300 and $600 a month. Not tiny rooms, real apartments with kitchens and living space. Total monthly expenses, food, transportation, utilities, often land between $800 and $1,100. And the key point is this: you're not constantly juggling money. You're not doing monthly financial gymnastics just to stay afloat. Money in Bulgaria isn't spent on maintaining appearances. It's spent on living. You don't need to win every month just to survive. For many retirees, that feeling is worth more than any ocean view. Healthcare is another reason Bulgaria quietly works. The public system has its flaws, but private healthcare is affordable and usable. A doctor visit doesn't require a week of mental preparation. Basic care tests, diagnoses, medication stays within financial reach. Income taxes are low and predictable. There are no sudden surprises that force you to rethink your entire lifestyle because of one letter in the mail. Residency is also relatively straightforward. If you have stable income, long-term visas aren't a maze. It's not fast, but it's clear. No grand promises, just a process that makes sense. You know where you stand and why you're allowed to stay. Of course, Bulgaria isn't perfect. Service here doesn't flatter customers. No one apologizes for everything. Bureaucracy moves slowly, and patience is required. You have to learn how to take care of yourself. Ask questions. Figure things out. If you're used to smooth packaged systems, Bulgaria can be frustrating. But if you're tired of being sold empty dreams, Bulgaria offers something very different. You're not pampered, but you're left alone. You're not constantly accommodated, but you're also not pushed aside. It's not trying to be a paradise. It's simply stable enough for you to live a normal life long-term with dignity. Number 2. Albania. Albania isn't overlooked because it's bad. It's overlooked because it doesn't fit neatly into anyone's mental map. It's not Western Europe, not quite Eastern Europe either. It's not a full EU country that instantly signals safety and familiarity. English language media rarely talks about it. There aren't endless expat vlogs. There's no loud foreign community telling Albania's story for it. So the country exists in a gray zone close enough to Europe to matter, but far enough off the radar to be ignored. Because of that, Albania has never been forced to turn itself into a stage. Its coastline is still real coastline, not a chain of resorts stitched together. Coastal towns still have their own rhythm, one that doesn't change just because visitors come and go. Mornings belong to locals drinking coffee. Afternoons belong to families eating together. Life here isn't designed to impress, it simply continues. Albanian society is deeply centered around family and community. Older people aren't pushed aside. They aren't treated as burdens or problems to be managed. They remain visible in everyday life, sitting outside their homes, talking with neighbors, moving through the day, as part of the social fabric. If you've grown used to feeling quietly sidelined as you get older, Albania offers something different. No one pampers you as a service, but no one makes you feel irrelevant either. When it comes to cost, Albania has managed to preserve something many places have lost: reasonableness. Renting a place near the coast typically runs between $400 and $700 a month. Not vacation condos, real homes. Total monthly living costs, food, transportation, daily expenses usually fall between $900 and $1,200. There's no such thing as a retirement tax. You don't feel penalized for choosing a slower life. Healthcare in Albania needs to be understood honestly. It's adequate but not automatic. You have to choose the right clinics and doctors. For basic needs and generally healthy people, it works. But if you require complex or long-term medical care, Albania may not be ideal. This isn't a country that promises perfection. It's a country that works if you understand your limits and live within them. Of course, there are trade-offs. Infrastructure isn't consistent everywhere. Some places function very well. Others are still rough around the edges. You have to be flexible. You have to accept that things won't always be smooth. If you expect everything to meet Western standards, perfect timing, rigid processes, polished experiences, Albania will frustrate you. But if you're looking for a place that hasn't been worn down by outside expectations, Albania remains remarkably intact. Not perfect, not polished, but real. A country that isn't trying to become something else, and because of that, still feels human. Not perfect, but still original. Number 1, Vietnam. Vietnam ranks number 1 not because it's perfect, but because it's the most misunderstood. For much of the world, Vietnam is still framed as a cheap travel destination. A place people visit for a few weeks, eat well, take photos, and leave. Very few people talk about Vietnam as a place to stay, especially after 55. And that misunderstanding has hidden a very different reality unfolding in 2026. Vietnam is not built around the idea of retirement. There are no retirement communities, no gated enclaves designed to separate foreigners from everyday life. And strangely enough, that's its greatest advantage. Life here doesn't ask you to become a special retired version of yourself. You don't have to switch roles. You simply continue living. In 2026, Vietnam's major cities still run at full intensity. Everything moves. Everything is loud. But at the same time, coastal towns and seaside villages move at a pace that feels almost detached from time. Mornings begin at small coffee shops. Midday means family meals. Afternoons unfold on streets with nothing to prove. You get to choose the level of energy you can tolerate and live within it. What stands out is this: older people in Vietnam aren't constantly managed or monitored. No one keeps asking what you need. No one tries to sell you an experience. You're not treated like a VIP, but you're also not treated like a burden. You exist in shared space just like everyone else. For people exhausted by being categorized, targeted, or managed, that sense of normalcy feels deeply relieving. When it comes to cost of living, Vietnam remains one of the rare places where money hasn't been distorted by expectations. Living well on $800 to $1,200 a month isn't marketing, it's reality if you live like a local. Food is inexpensive. Transportation is cheap. Daily life costs little. Your money goes toward living each day, not toward maintaining an image of successful retirement. Healthcare is one of the reasons Vietnam earns the top spot. In major cities, private healthcare is good enough to provide real peace of mind. Appointments are fast. Tests are accessible. You don't have to mentally calculate the financial impact every time you see a doctor. It's not a perfect system, but it's a usable one. And that matters more than perfection. Vietnam's visa situation isn't something you set and forget. It requires attention and management. But in exchange, it offers flexibility. Vietnam works best for people who are proactive people willing to learn, adjust, and take responsibility for their own lives. If you need everything automated and prepackaged, Vietnam will wear you down. But if you're willing to participate in daily life, it opens up space instead of closing it. Of course, Vietnam has trade-offs. It's noisy. Traffic is chaotic. Air quality isn't always kind. This is not a place for quiet luxury. There's no carefully curated calm, no protective distance between you and daily life. But that's exactly why Vietnam feels alive. It doesn't give you perfect stillness. It gives you presence. A feeling of being inside the current, not watching from the shore. A place where you're living, not just existing in a softened version of life. Not quiet, but deeply alive. 3 countries, none of them perfect. But they share something important. They don't sell you a dream. They offer you a choice. Because at a certain point, it's no longer about which place looks better, it's about which place can handle you living there long term. So the real question isn't which country is best for retirement, it's this: if you no longer need to impress anyone, where would you live? And now it's your turn. Which country on this list is changing the fastest, and which one do you think I missed?